I think the way he's leaving office has been, frankly, pretty terrible.
What's up, Black Coffee Crew? Today we're diving deep into the political circus, focusing on the Biden era and the media's take on it, especially CNN. And let me tell you, it's a wild ride. Let's talk about Biden's legacy, or what he wants it to be. We're seeing this narrative being pushed, especially in his farewell speech, painting him as some kind of all-star president. But let's be real here, the facts paint a different picture. According to some, he's leaving office with a 61% disapproval rating, while Trump's popularity is actually up. Now, you don't have to be a political genius to see that something's not adding up. The media, especially CNN, seems to be struggling to sell us on the idea that Biden was some kind of transformational leader, while they're still trying to downplay Trump's successes.
Speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office. Before I begin, let me speak to important news from earlier today. After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas, the elements of which I laid out in great detail in May of this year. This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans.
I think the way he's leaving office has been, frankly, pretty terrible. He's going to be remembered for a few things, but politically, it's mostly for when he was vice president, he and Obama sort of ushering in the Trump era initially, and then as he's leaving office as president, bringing back Trump and Trumpism stronger and more popular than ever. Today, Biden has like a 61% disapproval, and Trump is over a 50% approval and more popular, and his ideology is more popular than it's ever been. If everything you say is true, the Democrats should have had no trouble getting reelected in this election, yet they were.
It's an issue of a communications failure.
I know, and for Democrats, it's always been about communication and no introspection about the policies that led to him leaving office as one of the most unpopular presidents.
Americans appreciate the ability to pursue the American dream every day, and we do not push down on success ever. So, yes, Musk is rich. So what? Zuck,
I don't think
rich,
the issue is how
and
rich
everybody
they are.
else comes to this country almost drowning in rivers or getting cut under barbed wires to get in here to pursue their dream. Why do we ever think that we should bash their success?
Actually,
what do you
not
think
about it is not about how rich they are.
Exactly.
Just to observe what he's
They're not
talking
rich
about here.
enough. Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying that actually what got them there, Mark Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, Jeff Bezos, they all got to where they are because they came up with good ideas. They built big, good businesses.
Let's punish them.
And no. And they did so largely without having to do what they are doing now.
Fair, it's all fair, but half the country's still wondering how Joe Biden got rich.
Yeah, okay, so here...
How did he get rich?
But if Joe Biden got rich...
How did he get rich? Does anybody understand how that happened?
We saw Scott Jennings on CNN basically saying Biden's political legacy will be defined by how he and Obama ushered in the Trump era, and now Biden is leaving office with Trumpism more popular than ever. But is this a communication failure, as some Democrats claim, or is it perhaps an actual rejection of his policies and approach? And let's talk about this hostage deal. Biden's team is taking full credit for it, but so is Trump. It's almost comical seeing them both try to claim victory. Now, according to the source material, even Don Lemon had to admit that Trump may have played a role despite his personal feelings towards him. How did this deal just happen out of nowhere? You have to start asking yourself if the narrative being pushed by the media is actually in line with reality.
Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or Karine Jean-Pierre ever lied?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
I mean,
I know where you're going with this, but that's not the point.
You're,
Donald Trump stands up at the podium every day and delivers lies.
Your speech is about the truth, and one thing about Biden that has always vexed Republicans is that he spends a lot of time talking about him being the center of truth and the restoration of the soul of the nation. And yet he and his people spend a heck of a lot of time undermining that very talking point, up to and including this year with the massive cover-up of his own
Scott,
condition.
How about
and so
Trump lying to the American people doing COVID?
Well,
right?
about what?
How about that? I mean, drink bleach, right? I could go
Didn't
on
have
and
to
on.
debunk.
That it's not as bad as the flu. I mean, all of those
Debunk.
things. And the reality is, 500.
You're doing it right now.
500,000 people lost their lives because the president wasn't honest with the country
I don't
about
understand.
the dangers of COVID.
Are you saying the virus was listening to
my point
Donald
is that
Trump?
lies have consequences, and that is.
I just want to make sure I understand that your position is that Donald Trump's words induced the virus to kill people.
No, what Donald Trump's words did was prevented people from protecting themselves and their neighbors, and 500,000 plus people lost their lives.
See,
that was my point. And more importantly, because of his lies, he didn't create an infrastructure from the governors all the way down to get shots in arms, to get the economy open again.
Jay,
so lies have consequences,
honestly,
and that's what Biden was talking about today.
honestly,
we have to be aware of that.
This is crazy.
And honest
I'm
about
sorry,
it.
this is insane.
This is what I say. According to diplomats who were involved firsthand in the negotiation, President Biden refused to put any pressure on Netanyahu. And ultimately, they gave up that any deal would happen. It was, and Don, you and I talked about President Trump. I have no love, and I don't want to give Trump any credits, but I know, but I am in the business of telling the truth.
Same.
Donald Trump intervention have been monumental in making the ceasefire deal possible.
Another thing, Biden's wealth. How did he become so rich after 50 years in government? I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it does make you think, right? It feels like the more questions that go unanswered, the more we're justified in asking. It does make you question the legitimacy of the people running the country. Then we have the whole truth narrative. Biden and his team are always talking about restoring the soul of the nation and being truthful. But if that is the case, then why were so many people upset with the lack of truth during his presidency? Lies have consequences, and we need to be more critical of these claims.
Okay, I don't agree with that. I think Donald Trump would like to have started off, we know Donald Trump, the day of his inauguration or on the day to announce a ceasefire. The fact that it happened on Biden's watch, I think that leads many people to question whether it was. And look, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but that's going to lead many people to question.
Do you know when the ceasefire will enter in? Do you know when the ceasefire will start?
It's going to start. Well, the temporary ceasefire is going to start. It should start on Sunday, correct?
It will start on the 19th.
You mean the permanent?
No, the phase one of the ceasefire will start the day
Trump
inauguration. Basically, that's when it will happen.
You know, he spent the last 50 years caring about the country. This other one spent 50 years scamming everybody, you know, and trying to stay out of jail. You know who I'm talking about. You know, I really miss Biden. I feel like we were safe. Like, I didn't have to worry. Was everything going to blow up? Well, I could live my life while he was there. Now, every day I wake up and I worry, what is this guy going to do next? Yeah. And these oligarchs, can I just say one more thing and then I'll shut up?
No. You don't have to shut up.
They need to start shelling their money out. These guys, Bezos and Musk, they give it to Trump. Yeah. Do they think that they're going to live forever, these people? You know, everybody dies. I hate to break it to them, but you are not going to live forever.
You're not going to catch me up here, Alicia, today, but I will have a lot of time to reflect on my time here. As you know, this is, and I think you've gotten to know a few press secretaries during your career, this is a job that's nonstop. There's not a lot of time to reflect. It's always, we have to do the job. We have to speak on behalf of the president. We have to make sure that we're communicating with all of you. But what I can say with full heart is that this has been an honor and a privilege to do this job, and I have done it to my best of ability.
Just the other day that if he had run, he could have beat Trump. How was that received?
Not well, and reportedly not even well by the vice president, who said, hold on a second, because then why did I run? You know, we'll never know. And I think that's another thing we'll have to watch in the ensuing years and decades is he in the conversation alongside Franklin Roosevelt and LBJ and George Washington in terms of great presidents who did big things? Or does he end up in the conversation with Woodrow Wilson and James Garfield and John Kennedy of if they had lived longer, if they'd been healthy enough, if they'd been able to do more, how would we have assessed them? Or would he have been there alongside George Washington and knowing when to stop?
Yeah. The sources also bring up how Biden is being compared to some of the greatest presidents, like Washington or Roosevelt. The source material says that even Biden wouldn't put himself in the same category. It's like the media is trying to elevate him to a position that he is not qualified to be in. But, you know, when you try and put him in with those kinds of names, it rings hollow to say the least. It looks like they're trying to sell us a dream that they don't even believe themselves. And let's not forget the flip-flopping. Biden was one way back in the day, and now it's like he is a completely different person. The source material points to how he was tough on marriage and very big on the family unit, and now it's almost like he supports the complete opposite of those stances. And now he wants to pardon Hunter Biden after claiming he wouldn't. It's just a mess of contradictions. The source also points out that it looks like CNN is trying to protect Kamala Harris. It's like they are tiptoeing around her just in case she might decide to come back. This shows you that the media has agendas that they are not telling you about, and that should make you very wary of the things that they push. So what does it all mean? Well, for me, it shows a disconnect between the political class, their media mouthpieces, and the people they claim to represent. It's not about left or right. It's about accountability and honesty. We need to demand that of our leaders, the media outlets that are supposed to hold them accountable. That's it for today's episode, Black Coffee Crew. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more straight talking truth. What do you think? Drop your comments below. Until next time, stay woke, stay caffeinated, and keep it real.